Have you noticed everyone's tossing around CMS lately? Like it's the magic word for online success or something.
It's definitely having a moment, right?
Yeah, if you've been feeling a little lost in the CMS jungle, trust me, you're not alone.
It's easy to get bogged down in all the technical jargon.
Exactly. And that's what we're here for. So, for this deep dive, we're tackling a blog post that really breaks things down in a way that makes sense. It's from Now Technology Systems, an Australian web services company.
Oh yeah, I've seen their stuff. They know what they're talking about.
Yeah, their article is called Understanding CMS, Key Features and Benefits Explained. And honestly, it's a breath of fresh air, especially for anyone who doesn't speak fluent tech.
Their Australian focus is a nice touch too, especially if you're operating in that market. Local regulations are key.
So true. It's easy to forget that the online world still has very real-world rules. But first things first, what are we even talking about when we say CMS?
Right, back to basics.
For me, I always picture like a digital toolbox.
Okay, I like that.
Instead of hammers and nails, you've got all these tools to build and manage your website. No coding required.
That's the game changer, right?
Yeah.
You don't need to be a tech whiz to create a website anymore.
It's like having a professional web designer on call 24/7, but without the hefty price tag. Now, the article dives into a ton of different features, but let's be real, we're all about efficiency here.
Time is money.
Exactly.
Yeah.
So let's focus on the CMS features that'll actually make managing a website a breeze, not a chore. They talked a lot about template management, which honestly sounded a little dry at first.
Yeah, not the most exciting term.
But it's actually really cool once you understand what it means.
It's all about giving you a head start. Right?
Yes. Instead of staring at a blank page, you can choose from these pre-built website layouts, almost like those home decor stores where they have a whole room set up for you.
Oh, I see what you mean. Like, here's your living room, here's your bedroom, all ready to go.
Exactly. So you've got this foundation, and then you can personalize it to match your brand and style. Much less intimidating.
Way less overwhelming, for sure. And if you do want to get creative and tweak things, most CMS platforms have customization options, so you can really put your personal stamp on it.
Love that. Okay, what about this content editor thing they kept mentioning? Is that as straightforward as it sounds?
Pretty much. It's basically your trusty word processor, but specifically designed for your website. You can format text, add headings, create lists, insert images, all the good stuff.
Okay, so it's like what we're all used to using already.
Exactly. No new programs to learn, which is always a bonus.
They also mentioned something called WYSIWYG. What is that?
Yes, the acronym that trips everyone up. It stands for What You See is What You Get.
Okay, so no more coding blindly and then crossing your fingers that it looks right when you publish it.
No more of that.
Yeah.
With WYSIWYG, you see the changes you make in real time. So what you're editing is exactly how it's going to look on your actual website.
That sounds like a lifesaver, honestly. Speaking of which, most CMS platforms come with built-in SEO tools, right? I mean, we all want our websites to show up on Google.
Oh, absolutely. SEO is crucial these days. And thankfully, most modern CMS platforms make it super easy to optimize your website for search engines without needing to be an SEO guru.
So it's like having a built-in marketing team cheering you on behind the scenes.
Exactly. They do a lot of the heavy lifting for you.
Okay, so we've talked about what CMS is, but let's get into the good stuff. Why should anyone care? How does having a CMS translate into real benefits for your business or personal projects?
That's the million-dollar question.
Yeah.
And it's where a lot of these tech articles fall short.
They get lost in the weeds.
Totally.
They're so busy talking about features, they forget to tell you why you should actually care.
Right. Like, what's the point?
Exactly. So let's talk about those real-world benefits. The article highlighted cost-effectiveness as a major plus.
Huge.
Yeah.
Especially when you compare it to some of those website builder platforms.
Okay, but I've seen those website builder ads too, and they make it seem so easy and affordable.
They do have their place, for sure. But with a CMS, you get way more control and flexibility in the long run, especially with open source CMS platforms.
Okay, hold on. Open source. Got to make sure everyone's on the same page here. What does that even mean?
Good point. It basically means that the core software that powers the CMS is free to use. You're not paying for a license or a subscription or anything.
So it's kind of like downloading a music app for free, but then you have to pay if you want to unlock certain features.
Yeah, that's a good way to put it. With open source CMS platforms, you can add extras if you want, like fancy design templates or specialized plugins, but the essentials are all there for free.
That's a game changer, especially for small businesses or anyone just starting out. Frees up your budget for other things. Speaking of freeing things up, the article also raved about how CMS can save you time.
Oh yeah, time management is essential. And a good CMS is like having a personal assistant for your website.
Okay, I'm intrigued. Give me an example. How exactly does it save me time?
Imagine you need to update your website content, like adding a new blog post or announcing a sale. With a CMS, you just log in, make the changes yourself, and hit publish.
No more emailing back and forth with the web developer every time you need to tweak something.
Exactly. It puts you in the driver's seat.
That's huge. And it's not just about making changes quickly, it's also about automating tasks, right?
Absolutely. Many CMS platforms let you schedule things in advance, like blog posts or social media updates.
Oh, so it's like setting it and forgetting it.
Exactly. You can literally set it up once and then let the CMS do its thing in the background.
Okay, I see how that would free up some serious brain space. What about growing your business? The article mentions something about scalability. What do they mean by that?
Scalability is all about having a website that can grow alongside your business. You might start small, but as your business expands, your website needs to keep up.
So it's like upgrading from a bicycle to a car to a whole fleet of trucks.
Exactly.
Yeah.
And a scalable CMS can handle all of that without crashing and burning. You won't have to rebuild your entire website from scratch every time you hit a growth spurt.
Okay, that makes a lot of sense. So say I'm on board. CMS is the way to go. The article mentioned a few popular platforms like WordPress, Joomla, Drupal, Shopify, like a whole buffet of options. How do I choose which one's right for me?
That's the million-dollar question, isn't it? And honestly, there's no one-size-fits-all answer. It's all about finding the platform that aligns with your specific needs, your comfort level with technology, and of course, your budget.
It's like trying to pick a paint color when you haven't even decided what room you're painting yet.
That's a perfect analogy. You've
Yeah.
got to have a vision first. What are you trying to create here?
Exactly. It's easy to get overwhelmed with all the options. Where do you even start?
Right. It's like, hold on, I just figured out what CMS stands for.
Exactly. But remember that article we're looking at from Now Technology Systems? They actually give some great advice for narrowing down your choices.
They do. And it's super practical, especially for Aussie businesses.
They boiled it down to three main things, right? Business needs, ease of use, and budget.
Those are the big ones, for sure. So let's start with business needs. Sounds obvious, but you'd be surprised how many people skip this step.
It's easy to get caught up in the excitement of a shiny new website.
Totally.
Yeah.
But before you even look at CMS platforms, you got to ask yourself, what are you trying to achieve with your website? What's the main goal?
Are you trying to build a blog, sell products online, showcase your portfolio?
Exactly. Once you know what you need your website to do, you can start looking for a CMS that's built for that specific purpose.
So no one-size-fits-all solution.
Not really. I mean, you've got platforms like WordPress, which are super versatile.
WordPress seems to be everywhere these days.
It's popular for a reason. It's super beginner-friendly, and you can use it for a ton of different things, from blogs to business websites to even online stores.
And they have those plugins, right? Everyone talks about WordPress plugins.
Plugins are where it's at. They let you add all sorts of cool features to your website without needing to know any code. It's like adding apps to your phone. You can customize it to do exactly what you need.
So you can start simple and then add more advanced features as your business grows.
Exactly. Now, if you need a website with a more complex structure, like maybe you have multiple authors contributing content, or you need really fine-grained control over user permissions, Joomla might be a good option to look into.
Joomla, that's another one I've heard of, but I don't know much about it.
It's a step up from WordPress in terms of complexity, but it gives you a lot more control over how your website is organized and who has access to what.
So for bigger organizations or maybe membership sites where you have different levels of access.
Exactly. It's like having a really well-organized filing cabinet for your website. Everything has its place.
I like that. Now, what about Drupal? That one always sounds so serious, like it's only for big corporations and government websites.
Drupal is definitely the powerhouse of the CMS world. It's incredibly powerful and customizable, but it's also the most complex to learn.
So maybe not the best choice for beginners?
Probably not. Unless you're really tech-savvy and you enjoy a good challenge, you might want to start with something a little more user-friendly.
Makes sense. And then there's Shopify, which is in a league of its own, really.
Totally. Shopify is laser-focused on e-commerce, so if your main goal is to sell products online, it's the way to go. They've got everything you need built right in, from product listings to shopping carts to secure payment processing. You don't even have to think about it.
It's like the all-in-one package for online stores.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Okay, so we've talked about business needs. Now let's talk about ease of use. This is a big one, especially if you're new to the website game.
Nobody wants to spend hours and hours trying to figure out how to use their website platform.
Right, and some platforms are definitely more beginner-friendly than others. WordPress is known for being pretty intuitive, even if you're not a tech person.
It's like the Apple product of CMS platforms.
I see what you mean.
Yeah.
Whereas something like Drupal, there's definitely a steeper learning curve.
So it's all about finding that balance between ease of use up front and maybe needing more advanced features down the line.
Exactly. Think about your comfort level and how much time you're willing to invest in learning a new platform.
Okay, and last but not least, the dreaded budget conversation. Is there a CMS for every price range?
Absolutely. That's the beauty of open source platforms like WordPress, Joomla, and Drupal. The core software is completely free to use.
Free is always good.
Right. But remember those additional costs we talked about earlier. Web hosting, domain name registration, premium themes or plugins, those can add up, so it's important to factor those into your budget as well.
So it's not always as simple as just looking at the price tag on the box.
Exactly. With Shopify, you're paying a monthly subscription fee, but that includes everything, so it can actually be easier to budget for.
It's like the difference between buying a car outright and leasing one. You've got to figure out what works best for your financial situation.
Exactly. And remember, choosing a CMS is an investment in your online presence. It's worth taking the time to do your research and find the platform that's the best fit for you.
Absolutely. And there are so many resources available online, including that fantastic article from Now Technology Systems that we keep coming back to.
Seriously, if you're feeling lost in the CMS jungle, that article is a must-read. It breaks things down in a way that's easy to understand,
Yes.
even if you're not a tech expert.
Exactly. So there you have it, our deep dive into the world of CMS. Hopefully you're feeling a little less lost and a lot more empowered to tackle your online goals.
Absolutely. Remember, choosing the right CMS is a big decision, but it doesn't have to be overwhelming.
Take your time, consider your needs, and don't be afraid to experiment a bit. Who knows? You might even discover a hidden talent for web design.
And on that note, we'll leave you with this thought. What will you create? The possibilities are endless.